Hello and welcome to SolarQuotes Vodcast, episode 24, the winter edition. A bit chilly in the SolarQuotes office.
Yep.
I won't let anyone put the heating on.
You
because
bastard.
we have to make up for the loss of profits, which is substantial. I mean,
Yes.
I'm joking, but it's pretty scary due to the almost collapse of the Victorian solar industry.
Yep, I was going to ask for an extra half a bag of feed this week, but my horse's birthday, you see, yesterday.
Tonto 27?
No, Tonto 23.
Oh, okay, she's still going.
Oh, definitely. We're freezing to death because
of Lily D'Ambrosio and Daniel Andrews and Solar Victoria.
Thanks, guys.
So you've just published this blog post about 5 minutes ago, Ronald.
Yes.
Incompetent Andrews government refuses to admit mistake, would rather hurt Victorians. Explain yourself.
Okay, well, the Victorian government said, hey, I have a great idea. Everyone loves solar. Let's win the election and promise to increase the amount of rooftop solar installations on homes in our state.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
No. I mean, the industry wasn't asking for this. It just came out of the blue. They said, hey, we'll boost your industry. And people were thinking, oh, that sounds pretty damn good. So, of course, they fucked it up entirely. And installations were booming in Victoria, and they managed to crash them down again. So, and businesses are going bust, people losing their jobs, people losing their minds.
So they had a good idea.
Yeah.
At the very highest level.
Yeah.
They implemented it.
Yeah.
And there were some serious issues. So the rational organisation stroke government says there's some serious issues, let's tweak the implementation.
Yeah, let's fix the problem.
Yes.
It's not working. It's badly designed. We'll fix it.
So did they do that?
No. You could just scrap the scheme entirely. That would be far better than what they're doing now. Or they could just tweak it. People had good ideas. They accepted none of them, paid no attention. So, yes.
So you've got Lily D'Ambrosio at the moment, who's the Environment Minister, who's kind of pretty much the government spokesperson on this disaster, this fiasco. All she has to do is make some simple changes, and she's just like this. It's going great. It's going great. Nothing to see here. I make no apologies.
Yes.
Well, you should make some fucking apologies for people losing their homes and their businesses when all you have to do is tweak the program.
Yeah. I don't care. Do whatever face-saving shit you need to preserve your ego. Just fix the problem.
So the other thing she said yesterday was, we haven't put a cap on the amount of solar installations.
That's a lie.
There's lots of other people you can sell solar to outside of the scheme. Well, this is 90% of the population. This is 90% of the residential market. If you want to be good at installing residential solar, quite a good strategy is to just focus on residential solar. So yes, there are some big companies that do big commercial jobs, which aren't without risk, because if you're doing a $200,000 job and it goes south, that will sink a medium-sized company. So the guys that have diversified into commercial, who generally have to be bigger by the nature of the business, they are keeping their heads above water. The smaller guys who just wanted to do residential and do it well are on the verge of extinction.
Yes.
So let's have a look at the numbers, because Lily D'Ambrosio said they're not putting a cap on the Victorian solar market.
Yeah.
And she wouldn't be mistaken, would she?
She would. She would.
All right, so I hope you can see this. This is a graph from Warwick Johnston of Sunwiz, which is essentially public clean energy regulator data, which he's graphed nicely. I've made Victoria a lot redder and thicker so you can see what's happening. So chundering along until we hit August 2008. You can see there's a steady growth along with the other two big states, which is Queensland and New South Wales. In August, the rebate comes out and demand goes through the roof, as you might expect. $2,225 of free money. Enormous boom.
No one's going to want solar without that money. Huge boom. Yep.
So, enormous boom. You pulled a lot of demand forward. Now, what do businesses do when they see that boom?
They hire new people.
Yep, they buy trucks, they buy equipment, they buy stock, they rent bigger warehouses. You have to cope with the boom.
Yeah.
And you can't, if you're don't agree with the government subsidising the Victorian solar industry, you can't say, no, I'm not going to participate. Because then you don't have a business. You are forced to participate in the subsidy
Exactly.
that the government's put on you. So then we see, and then so a huge boom. Then in April, they stopped the rebate dead, and the solar industry falls off a cliff. The first month of data for the new scheme, where they've capped it at 3,333 rebates a month, is in July 2019, and there's a 23 there. That's 23,000 kilowatts of installations. 23,000 divided by 6.6 kilowatts, which is a typically sized system, is about 3,400.
Yeah.
What a surprise. The industry has been capped at 10%, if that, not even 10%, well, 2% above Lily's cap. So she has absolutely capped the industry.
Show them the cap there. Oh,
there you go. So
there it
the
is.
green line. So it's been capped. So if we trace this horizontal line back, it's been capped at January 2018 levels. So she's taken the industry back to January 2018. So even if, it's a huge if, this was perfectly implemented by Solar Victoria,
Yep.
and everyone that applied, all 3,333 rebates were getting fairly distributed to solar installers, and they were getting installed, and people were getting through the portal, which they're not. It's a clusterfuck. She would have taken the industry back to January 2018.
Yep.
So people would have to lay off staff, and they should shrink the industry.
Yes.
It'd go backwards like 18 months.
Yes. And since no one is going to want to install without the $2,000+, it's going to be stuck at that level for as long as the scheme's around.
The green line goes that way for 10 years.
Yeah.
Which is nuts.
Ridiculous.
Which is nuts.
If you want to subsidize something to get more of it, you don't put a cap on it. That's the opposite of what you're trying to do. You're working at cross purposes to your stated goal.
So this is a really stupid design. We won't even talk about the implementation by Solar Victoria, which is a clusterfuck, as I've said.
Makes me want to scream.
It's a high-level design that needs to be modified. Just modify it. Now, shall we see what would have happened if the Victorian government had just stayed out of the Victorian solar industry?
Yeah.
If it had followed the trend it was at, and the trend of the other two large states, there's the yellow line. We'd be at 35,000 kilowatts installed in July 2019 instead of 23,000.
Yep.
So
It's more than a third difference.
the stated aim of the solar rebate was to increase the gradient of that line.
Yeah.
And it's gone
Although-
bang!
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, the numbers don't lie.
Yep. It's the truth, and it's all preventable. And mistakes do happen, but you fix them. God damn it.
It's really that simple.
Yep.
I think this is the problem when you've got politicians, Daniel Andrews, Lily D'Ambrosio. They've never done anything except politics. They don't understand business. They think you can't make mistakes or the opposition hammers you.
Yeah.
So they refuse to admit mistakes. It's just a sign of really, really weak people. People with who put politics above everything else, even the welfare of people and their families and consumers. They've made solar more expensive. The companies I've talked to said they've got to whack at least $1,000 on the price of a system to cover administration.
Yep.
So net, if you get the rebate, yes, you're getting it $1,200 cheaper. But if you're not getting the rebate, the cost of your system's gone up $1,000 because all these overheads will also get passed to you.
Yep.
Anything else you want to say about Victoria?
It's not too late to fix it. You can, I don't know, grow balls, remove balls, whatever the expression is. You've got years to go to the next election. You can win it if you stop fucking up. Improve it. Lift up your socks. Like, what was the Labour's Party's motto? Fair go for Australia?
Should we move on? There is another.
Yes.
There's more than Victoria in Australia. Let's move on. Here's a blog post written by Michael. Horizon Power, which is a energy network in WA.
Yep.
Select Switched In, which is a little company in Newcastle, New South Wales for Onslow microgrid tech. I really like Switched In.
Uh-huh.
They make these little boxes and the software that goes with them. It's about, I think, 4 inches by 2 inches by 1 inch. And this is, they describe it as a Babel fish because it translates the language that batteries and inverters talk. So they can all talk to each other, a bit like Google Translate.
Yes, except it's a fish.
Yes. So they make these boxes, they make the software that controls them, and the idea there is that anyone with a battery and solar can participate in a virtual power plant or a microgrid or both, which is a very good use of batteries. You network the batteries and they all work together. And I think Australia needs something like this. It's compare it to, say, Reposit, who I personally think have the wrong business model, which is they're trying to own everything, the grid credits, and own the VPP, and own the monitoring and everything. I think this is better. I like this.
Any room for the actual households to find a better deal when the one thing owns everything?
Well, I mean, if you've got one of these, then potentially in the future you can choose your VPP operator based on who'll give you the best deal.
Yeah, that sounds good.
VPP quotes, register that domain, Ronald.
Oh, yeah, yes. Along with Poolar quotes, we've already got that one, haven't we? Good. You didn't hear that.
What are you on about?
Nothing. We're not stealing your company ideas at all. Don't worry yourself, Finn. Poolar quotes. When you need a pool, see us. Anyway, keep going.
So, switched in, yes. Nice little company.
That's me, not him.
Designing, good engineering-led company, solving good engineering problems so more people can have VPPs and they're not tied into one vendor, which is really important. Because Ronald's highly suspicious that most VPP operators will probably try and screw the customer.
Yeah.
And keep the benefits for themselves.
I wonder why I'd think that. I'm just so suspicious.
So from distributed batteries to not very distributed
porta
batteries.
potties.
Ronald thinks this looks like a row of toilets at Glastonbury.
Upmarket toilets. Look how white and clean and stuff they are.
I would enjoy watching a hippie open one of those doors and pee on the stuff inside.
Ooh, that's nasty. An electric fence is shocking. That would be incinerating.
So Tesla have brought out this pretty massive battery, I think 3 megawatt hours of storage, 1.5 megawatts of power.
Yep.
Good on you, Tesla. Don't know what the price is, but it's got to be cheaper per kilowatt hour than the power packs.
Yes.
And I hope...
if they're selling them, great.
Yep. And I'm a big fan of utility scale batteries where the people that install them have decided that they're going to make money for them. You wouldn't do it otherwise.
I'm neutral on that. On the utility versus distributed, both have their place. And whoever, may the best battery win, which is both of them.
Yes. So, nice one, Tesla. Looking good.
Yep. Don't pee on it.
I'm trying to be nice to Tesla before I get my EV.
Yes. Yes.
They don't put a gremlin in the software.
Yes, not you won't get the scratched up one.
Best review of the week. A company called Easy Being Green, which has been around a while.
Yep.
I think they're in Victoria. So this chap bought 8 kilowatts of Solar Edge solar panels.
8 kilowatts, yeah.
So the actual solar panels were Solar Edge branded with optimizers on them.
Yes.
He bought a 9.8 kilowatt hour battery, LG, and he paid about 15 grand, which...
that's for Solar Edge? So
like,
that's with the inverter and everything?
Yeah, everything, the whole system.
Well, that's damn good, I think,
that's
for
good.
that system. And the battery.
Yeah. From the initial contract, I was provided with all the information and the options available to meet my needs. I chose the 7.8 kilowatt system, 26 Solar Edge 300 watt mono panels with Solar Edge 6 kilowatt backup inverter, so they've oversized it, smart, plus the large LG 9.8 kilowatt hour battery for extra capacity. The thing about the Solar Edge hybrid inverters is you can use all of the solar panel capacity to charge the battery. It doesn't throttle it.
Yes.
That's quite smart. So they can do AC and DC coupling at the same time.
Ooh.
The installation process went very smoothly. The guys were fast and efficient and set everything up for the easy connection into the grid. I highly recommend the Easy Being Green team. Nice one, Easy Being Green team.
Good, yeah.
Look like they're doing a good job. They're not a SolarQuotes client. That's fine. Not everyone chooses to be one.
That seemed like Kermit was wrong.
Now, we haven't got... Ned struggled to find a bad review this week.
Oh, well, that's great news.
It's all down to Lily D'Ambrosio, obviously. Clearing the crap out.
Yeah.
Thanks, Lily. It's all down to you. Enphase going gangbusters.
Ooh, what's an Enphase?
Disclosure.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I've got Enphase shares.
Should I do this one?
Oh, so I better shut up about it.
Oh, wait a minute. Enphase gave me a pen.
They did. So you're corrupted too.
Yeah, but they fell apart, so I'm biased against them. You better do it.
So Enphase released their latest earnings. They beat expectations. They're selling gazillions of microinverters around the world, especially in America. Good on you. I'm a big fan of Enphase hardware. I'm not a fan of the Enphase monitoring software.
No.
It's really hard to work out if your solar system's actually doing what it should do. I always advise people get Enphase and solar analytics monitoring. It's like getting blood out of a stone, trying to get an installer to install both. They go, you can't have monitoring twice, that's ridiculous.
It's not ridiculous if only one of them works.
So, I am a big fan of Enphase, so much so that I bought some of their shares many years ago, which are going gangbusters.
Yeah, and I didn't.
There you go. So they're doing really well.
And it remains to be seen if eventually we start taking away market share from string inverters in Australia.
Yeah, I mean, they do make your system quite expensive in Australia.
Yeah, they do.
Because with the DC,
for a small system, it's not so bad.
Yeah, with the DC, with the string inverters, the way the rebate works, if you're buying reasonably priced panels, the bigger your system goes, the rebate actually covers the cost of the panels. But obviously, if you've got Enphase inverters, for every extra panel, you also need to buy an extra Enphase microinverter. So the bigger the system, the more expensive it gets. At a higher, gets more expensive more quickly than a string system.
Yeah, the hardware cost stays constant, but with a string system, it's not so bad. The cost doesn't rise as rapidly with size.
Yeah, so there's still a big price premium for Enphase in Australia, which is curbing their uptake.
Yes, and don't believe it. Don't take it with a grain of salt when Enphase talks about how many they've installed, because they're counting each and every little one.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the feedback we get from the installers in Australia is that the reliability of the latest generation, the newer generation Enphase micros, is phenomenal. So they seem to have solved that problem. So good on you, Enphase.
Woohoo!
And thanks for pushing the shares up from like $4 to 22 or something crazy.
I hope you bought more than one.
Yeah, it was. My accountant laughed at me when I first bought them because they dropped to 50 cents.
Yep.
I said, well, they're either going to go broke or they're going to go gangbusters. I might as well keep them because they're worth bugger all. They've gone from 50 cents to I think they're at 23 or something crazy.
Woohoo! And what were they at when you bought them? 22?
4.
Okay, good. You smart.
Yeah.
It was luck.
Disclosure, I am long Enphase, as they say on seekingalpha.com.
Yeah.
Oh, here's one that you wrote.
Yes, that's
This
right.
is a bit depressing.
Well, yes and no. There's a nugget, a kernel, a peanut of good news in there.
Moodys economic report on climate change. $100 trillion
Yes.
in economic damage by 2100. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it is. That's like 45 years of Australia's gross national output. That's a continent's entire economic value over 45, nearly half a century. But yeah, it is a lot of money. But in reality, that $100 trillion, far too small, because they've left out things they couldn't calculate, all sorts of things. Increased risk of conflict, increased risk of internal conflict, refugees, extinctions, loss of biodiversity, all sorts of things haven't been included. So, it's worth.
I thought Victoria was bad.
It's just the whole planet. Yeah. No, the kernel of good news is, tiny bit of good news is, according to Moodys, we're not going to have much more than 2 degrees of warming on the current path. Bad news is that could still kill hundreds of millions of people. So we don't know. That's the trouble. We don't know what will happen. We could be lucky and the damage will be relatively mild, or we could be very unlucky and 1 billion people could die from agriculture just failing to feed enough people, etc. All sorts of things. Maybe we'll have a nuclear war because of people can't agree to share resources that are left. Who knows? It's dangerous. We need to do something. And fortunately, we can do something. We can meet our Paris goals, which we're not on track for, which is 1.5 degrees of warming maximum. And I personally think we should be aiming to keep the warming to 1 degree, the current 1 degree. And we can do that.
How do we do that?
Oh, we stop burning coal.
Yeah.
And we bring in fuel efficiency standards, so we switch to hybrid vehicles and electric vehicles. And we could do it in 10 years in Australia. We could go carbon neutral if we wanted to. It would be a trivial cost for a rich country like Australia.
Just need political will, political courage.
Yes, political will, political courage. Yeah, I'm sure we could find some of that somewhere.
Okay, last one for the day, which
Yes.
it's a bit dry, but it's quite an important one because it's quite typical. So you've got, we had someone email us because he runs a business and some of his business income is a feed-in tariff. Mm-hmm. And I think, let me get this the right way around, the Queensland Competition Authority sent him a letter saying GST is not included on the feed-in tariff. Ergon Energy sent him email or gave him, no, it says on their website that it is included, or vice versa. So they two different people saying the opposite things. My guess is that Ergon Energy is wrong.
Yes.
Because I've got so much experience of the information on electricity companies' websites being wrong.
Yes.
But, the other thing that's typical of this is Richard, who wrote the post, tried and tried and tried to just ring them up, email them, every which way he could to get an answer from them.
Yep.
And they just ignored him.
Oh, yeah.
So you want to do the right thing. You don't want to, get in trouble with the ATO.
No.
And these people are so, they don't know the answer, so they just ignore you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And often the information on their website is just wrong. We get that all the time when people are installing solar and they're asking the DNSP, the Distributed Network Service Provider, whether they can do this, whether they can do that. Yes. The stuff they get from the call centres, I think these people are just making it up as they go along. I know that's not true. Still a struggle to get good information out of networks and retailers and all that.
Yes. It's all horrible. Get your fingers out, people. So, I'm sure they'll read this and they'll fix it up in the next couple of weeks.
We'll see.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Anything else before we have a nice cup of hot gruel to warm us up?
Yes. Well, will you beat me again if I say, please, sir, can I have some more?
Yeah.
Okay. It's worth it. It's good hot gruel. I'm going to ask for it. I'm even going to ask for salt this time.
You'll be lucky.
So,
No salt budget until the Victorian rebate's fixed.
If I'm wearing sunglasses next time, it's because he beat me up.
Till next time.
I'll report him if I didn't enjoy it. Bye.
Hurrah!